Welcome back to the It Show, guys. Today I'm super excited. I say that all the time, but in this time I'm extremely excited. We have today with us Affan Mohiuddin, who is the physician assistant primary licensed provider for Eterna Health, correct?
Yeah.
He has been a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the world of peptides, the world of new age medicine, and everything that the entire world is kind of leaning towards and moving forward to. So I'm excited to pick his brain today. Today we have Affan.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it and sharing my knowledge into this kind of new age of medicine that's kind of creeping up and getting more popular.
Yeah, man, we're excited to have you. To get started, I gotta say, when I was doing 75 hard, I got injured, as pretty much everybody that does 75 hard does, and I had an issue with my knee. And when I was talking to you about it, you had suggested to me a peptide that I had never heard of before. But I was like, what the hell? I've been doing all my stacks, all of my amino acids, everything that I'm taking, my creatine, and I'm still pushing my body way harder than I typically would. So at that point, I was just like, let me just give this a try. The name of the peptide was Sermorelin. And the moment that I started using that, within 3 days, the pain in my knee had gone away. And I want you to talk to the audience a little bit about not just like what Sermorelin does, but also like what the entire world of optimization peptides are, because everybody wants to know and everybody wants access to this type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So peptides essentially are a group of amino acid chain. They're chain blocks in our body. We have over 7,000 of these peptides in our body. And they each do a certain function, whether it be through sleep regulation, weight loss, weight regulation, metabolism, or just controlling overall our mood and how we're feeling and how we're recovering after a certain workout or activity. And, we can take these now exogenously through oral or nasal or even injectable, of course, is the most popular means. And the one that you refer to as Sermorelin, it's in the growth hormone receptor peptide. So what does it do? So essentially, Sermorelin activates a receptor which then causes growth hormone to be excreted from the pituitary gland, and that aids in recovery. So for patients who are, working out or, doing muscle building, also, or even struggling with low energy, Sermorelin helps with that. And it can be taken either orally, through subcutaneous injections, or even intranasal if you don't like any of those options. So it doesn't have any sort of side effects to it because our body already naturally makes it. But as we age with time, certain things depreciate in our body, such as, our metabolism slows down, and then overall our recovery can slow down. And that's where these peptides, if we don't have enough of it, we can take to kind of fill in those gaps. So, I'm glad it worked out well for you.
Yeah, man. It was kind of surreal to see like the effectiveness within the time frame.
Yeah.
Like typically whenever I've tried stuff like mushroom coffee, we're big into mushroom coffee, things that are typically like either nootropics or things that biohacking type stuff. It takes, at least for me, a consistent week and a half, 2 weeks of usage for me to see okay, now it's landed in my system, things have shifted, and now I feel it. But with Sermorelin, I felt it immediate. Like I felt this little bit of like almost like a warmth.
Yeah.
That would kind of creep up into like my face, and I felt very warm. It lasted about 30, 40 minutes, and then it just kind of went away. I would go to sleep. The best sleep of my life. I can't stress this enough. It was, obviously I was killing myself working out twice a day, but still, it was the best sleep of my life because before that, I still was sleeping normally. This was a very, very deep sleep, and then I would wake up feeling fresher than I've ever been.
Yeah.
Especially after I literally obliterated myself the day before and getting ready to do it again. So that's really exciting. And the thing that I like the most about it too is the price point.
Yep.
I think most people have a conception of peptides and biohacking and all these different things that are kind of inaccessible because certain companies or certain providers have, for lack of a better word, they have monopolized the, I guess, the marketing for them. So when you reach out to them, they hit you with these giant bills.
Yeah.
For Sermorelin, it was a much easier bill for me to have in a monthly basis, right? Do you want to share a little bit of that?
Yeah. So with Sermorelin, we partner with compounding pharmacies, and these compounding pharmacies, they're safe, they're regulated, they're 503A, 503B pharmacies, meaning that they follow all the sterility standards that that are set by the patent laws and the FDA. And they're able to make Sermorelin, mass produce them. You can't find them at a traditional CVS or Walgreens, but these compounding pharmacies are able to make it in such a quantity that it's cheap for us and for you to get them and to use it for a while without having to replenish the stock quickly enough. So like a simple, like a 10 ml vial can last you multiple months because typically for a Sermorelin dose, you're injecting it probably every 3.5 days. So it just gives you that, you don't need to inject yourself every day. If you're doing it nasally, you just would do it every day, but it still has the same intended benefit. And like the price point for like an injectable Sermorelin would, for a 10 ml vial would be $175. And again, it can last you a while because each injection, you're probably injecting about 1 ml or so. Subcutaneously, it's a tiny needle. So patients who have like some sort of needle aversion or they're scared of large needles and such, it's a small insulin pen needle. So it just feels like a pinch and you just go about your day.
Yeah, I had never done any subcutaneous stuff before, and when I got the package, which is pretty cool that it comes with everything. And I would look at the thing, I was like, oh, okay, I think I could do this. They're the little insulin syringes. Tiny.
And everything's labeled. It tells you exactly how much to drop. And with us at Eterna Health, we have like a direct clinical concierge service. So we're not just giving you the medication and just kind of leaving you high and dry. We're following your progress, and we're monitoring if you're having any side effects, clinical questions, and we do video calls if you have any questions on how to draw it up or how to inject it, because it's obviously new for you, and we want to make sure that you're fully comfortable because it's your own body at the end of the day that you're injecting. So it's, we want to make sure that you're fully confident in what you're injecting yourself.
So do you had pain in your knee? Did you inject it straight into your knee, or do you inject it somewhere else and then your bloodstream basically puts it where it needs to go?
It doesn't need to be injected in directly in the joint. There are certain peptides that I can go over, like BPC 157, where you can directly inject in the joint. But for Sermorelin, it just stimulates, once you inject it, it stimulates a receptor to target the growth hormone to be excreted from the pituitary gland, which then causes a cascading event to repair tissues, damage tissues, recovery times if you're sore from post-workouts and such.
Okay. Now there's certain amino acids, like we spoke before we went live here, that I didn't even know were peptides, such as insulin and things of that nature. What are, I guess, like, just so that our audience can kind of grasp the idea of what a peptide actually is, because we all produce it. But what are some common peptides that people wouldn't even know are actual peptides?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned previously, we have about 7,000 peptides in our body. And if you can kind of think of it in a way, they're all worker bees in our body. They have a certain role that they play. And, in terms of metabolism, sleep regulation, hormones, whether it be sexual hormones, there are peptides for that. And peptides in general are those group of amino acids. So, essentially, the most common or most famous one was insulin. That started in the early 1900s, and insulin is a peptide in our body that regulates blood sugar. And for patients who have diabetes, type 1, type 2, their insulin isn't well regulated, and therefore they have glycemic spikes, and they can suffer damage like neuropathy through this through glucose inflammation. And therefore, we have now insulin that we can inject in our body. You can pick it up at any pharmacy. The other famous peptides that we're seeing now, I'm sure that you guys have heard of, are Wegovy, which is Ozempic. They're glucagon-like peptides. So the chemical name is semaglutide, but it's in the drug class of GLP-1, which stands for glucagon-like peptide, which essentially is a receptor in our body. It's a peptide that acts upon a receptor that tells the body, or tells the stomach rather, to delay gastric emptying. So when we eat something, we feel full, and that fullness lasts for a bit of time, like, it can be 8 to 10 hours where we don't feel like we need to eat, and we don't have that hunger desire, and therefore our body goes into a state of like a caloric deficit and then starts to burn fat. Other peptides in that same category are Mounjaro and tirzepatide. They're also still in the GLP category. So those are just to name a few. There's also the one that Edelio is on, which is a Sermorelin, which is a GH receptor peptide. And there's even peptides such as BPC 157, which are peptides that are actually naturally in our gastric system. They're gastric juices. And we found that the BPC 157 helps with tissue damage. So now we're injecting it in joints. So patients who have cartilage damage, ligament damage, we are now injecting BPC 157 in those joints, and it actually is aiding in recovery without going through, expensive surgery or whatnot.
Like I have rotator cuff issues.
Yeah.
You're saying that I could just inject it. I probably wouldn't inject it straight into my arm, would I? Or would I go to you guys to do that?
So you can inject it straight into yourself if you're confident enough. But yes, we can also follow up with that as well and inject it if you're not comfortable. But again, they're very small needles. They're subcutaneous, so they would just go right in. But even
You don't have to hit a particular.
No, just in that region.
So I know Gary Brecka talks a lot about, you can drink protein, which is like there's a lot of protein shakes out there and things of that nature. But he said what's actually more effective is taking amino acids, or peptides rather, that produce protein naturally inside your body.
Yeah.
So I guess what kind of peptides would do that, so that, and is it actually more effective than just drinking protein itself?
Yeah. We actually recently came out with, it's been a while, there for a while, but we now have it available with Eterna Health, called the GAC, which is a glutamine, arginine, carnitine. It's 3 peptides in 1 shot. Essentially, you would take it post-workout. And what they do is they're 3 separate peptides, and they aid in muscle recovery, conditioning, and also fat metabolism. So it's like a post-workout protein shake, but without actually taking a protein shake. You're injecting yourself with 3 peptides that you need essentially for muscle recovery, conditioning, and able to have like that post-workout feel like I actually did something really good. And then the other one is to track back with BPC 157 is now taken together also with TB 500, which stimulates as if you're working out. If you don't work out, it initiates kind of muscle building through just taking that shot. It's every 3.5 days that you would take that shot, and basically it stimulates as if you're contracting muscles.
Does that burn calories?
Yeah, it burns calories, so it aids in metabolism, it boosts metabolism, but also builds muscle at the same time. So it's not as if you're taking like a growth hormone like anabolic steroids. We're not creating like that sort of event, but it's stimulating like the receptor, which increases muscle activity, recovery, conditioning, and metabolism.
And do these peptides, these produce actual protein inside of our body naturally, or it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
It stimulates a cycle that causes that proteins, like kind of that peptide cycle to be made about. So like glucagon, like peptide, just to go back to that, to have like delayed gastric emptying, you need a peptide to go to that receptor and tell that receptor we need to delay gastric emptying. So therefore you can inject it exogenously and go through that way. So yeah, it does cause like a cascading event depending on which peptide you use.
Man, I feel like all the nerds out there just heard, you're telling me I can get strong without working out? Yes, you can, dude.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, building like a stack, because I'm sure people don't just want to, try Sermorelin for recovery or BPC 157 for like localized recovery. they might want to try a whole bunch of stuff. Like maybe they want stuff for focus, which I know like NAD is amazing.
Yeah,
for.
and I can talk about NAD. So NAD stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It's basically in the nucleus. And what it does is it stimulates cellular energy. Again, you're able to have better cognition, better sleep. Actually, it does improve metabolism because it tells the mitochondria to, which is our energy factory in our cell, it tells it to like increase the ATP production. It aids in ATP production. So therefore, we're able to because with metabolism, you need energy to get it from somewhere. So with NAD, it helps with that. You know, we all have NAD in our body. It's not something that we don't have. We have it, but actually, they found that when you get in your 30s, half of your NAD is already depleted, and you can't make any more of it. And now they're finding that it actually helps with anti-aging. So patients are actually using NAD on their skin because it's improving like fine lines, wrinkling, even like acne scarring. Personally, I use NAD topically myself as like a nighttime routine because it helps take away any sort of acne blemishes that I used to have in the past.
And you have pristine skin. That I just said.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You can like they have certain peptides like that for better cognition. I've used NAD as an injectable form, and I found that it works really well for sleep. I'm able to have good sleep and wake up and feel energized. I don't need like a cup of coffee to wake me up. I already feel naturally woken up, and I'm able to, because I work at an urgent care separately, and I work 12-hour shifts, and as the day goes on, it can kind of wear you out, but I don't feel that way. And it's not like you're going to get a crash later on. It's just naturally that you're building this up.
What is L-theanine? Because I keep seeing this thing pop up. Do you know what that is?
No. L-theanine?
I've been seeing a lot of supplements.
I think it's like a neurotransmitter.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's like a nootropic though.
Yeah, like L-theanine, typically like they'll have L-theanine on, what's it called? Supplements that help with calming your brain or focusing because I think it has some sort of neuroreceptor activity that it does. I'm not super well read on it, but it's almost like a balancing thing. Like if you're going to take a pre-workout that has a lot of caffeine, a lot of like, stuff that's going to amp you up, L-theanine kind of like curbs that amp and just maintains a cleaner energy. But that's as far as I know about L-theanine. I don't know where it comes from, if it's synthetic, or if it's naturally occurring. So, but yeah, I think it's one of those cool ones. But nothing like this stuff. Like this stuff is almost like, it's like the cheat code, right? Like if you knew the cheat code for the video game, this is kind of like the stuff that you'd be using.
Yeah, and it's not that, our body makes peptides at the end of the day, but we're just giving more of it, so it does help in aiding that, because as we get older, things start to slow down and break down.
Yeah.
And, with peptides, I think we're on the precipice of having true anti-aging medicine, because now it's being more mainstream. The interesting thing about peptides is that a lot of these peptides that I've just been discussing with you guys, they've been around for 20 years, but they haven't been mainstream until within the last, I would say, 3-4 years. They're now becoming more mainstream. And I think that's through direct like social media. Patients are getting information through different means other than their doctor. Now, is that good or bad? That's up for debate. But I think if you're using peptides under a supervision of a medical professional, then that's when it's actually really good. But you've done your research beforehand, because the patient should also be aware of what they're injecting in their body too, of course. And we can explain them, but if they know what they're doing beforehand, then that's really helped.
So are there would you recommend only under the supervision of a doctor, or is there like a peptide stack that, hey, doesn't matter who you are, this is probably just good to make sure you're taking on a regular basis?
Yeah, majority of the peptides, I would say about 80% should be directly under the supervision of a physician. Now, if you're taking like topical NAD, I think that's fine. That's something that you can do every other night to help with skin rejuvenation and collagen formation. Also, if you're doing GAC, the shot that I mentioned previously post-workout, that's perfectly fine too. But overall, like if you're talking about the GLP-1 medications, and then the BPC 157, TV 500, those should be under the supervision of a physician, just in case you have any unintended side effects.
Gotcha. Now, my guy Edelio over here, he's got a baby on the way,
Oh yeah.
right? So we got to get number 2 back to back.
Yeah.
So is there a peptide to increase libido to make sure number 2's on the way for not just him, but also
Let me give my wife a break, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there are peptides actually that help increase libido. And actually, there's a female version that we call female Viagra, bremanolitide. It also goes by the name of PT141. And what it does is it increases naturally libido. And the way a patient would take it, a female, it also, men can use it as well, but not as many men use it as females do, because we have Viagra, we have Cialis, so that helps. But with bremanolitide, you take it 1 hour prior to sexual activity, or if you plan on having sexual activity, and it has a long kind of half-life, so it stays in your body. It can stay actually up to about 48, 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
And again, it's natural. So you have a natural sex drive without taking, tadalafil or Cialis for men. But yeah, there's ways to increase libido. Yeah.
Would you recommend women take it with Gatorade? Because 72 hours is crazy.
Yeah, I guess if they're planning on a marathon or something like that, yeah. But otherwise, it does work really well. And again, that's something that we can source at Eterna Health for our patients.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody that's listening is going to want to know how they get a hold of you guys. So
Yeah.
we'll make sure to mention that at the end. There's one question that we always ask in this podcast, and we always are curious to see how every single guest responds. Do you want to do the honors?
Sure. Obviously, this show is about independent thinking, and you couldn't be an independent thinker if you don't look at things objectively and are open to the idea of changing your views. So with the constant evolution of research and everything that we're learning about peptides and things of that nature, I guess what is one thing that maybe you believed 5 or 10 years ago that you no longer believe today?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I was in medical school, I mean, everything was textbook. Patient comes in with complaint A, we treat it with this B medication, right? Or if that medication didn't work, then there was alternative medications. But that was basically textbook. And with that, we all followed that to the science. And that's still appropriate. But with this kind of new age medicine with peptides that we're discovering and are becoming more mainstream, it's not always textbook. That there are peptides out there that can help with recovery of back injuries, knee injuries, shoulder pain. If you're having trouble sleeping, it doesn't necessarily mean that you always have to take a pharmaceutical, but there are, natural amino acids that we already have in our body that we can take exogenously that can aid in sleep function without having to go through, pharmaceuticals, which can have their own side effects. So that's what I would say is like not everything is textbook. You always have to think outside the box when it comes to science and medical research.
Awesome, Affan. Thank you so much for coming. We really do appreciate your time and giving us all the knowledge that you have. Where can people either connect with you, find your services, and get a little bit more information about what you guys do?
Yeah, thank you to you both for having me on. To find me at geteternahealth.com, GETETERNA health.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to be reaching out.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to helping everyone.